All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is time for another Heart of the Swarm broadcast, and it is going to be a rematch between, of course, the red Protoss player down here in the bottom right-hand corner. His name is WhiteRa, and his opponent is DaLoze up in the top left, representing blue Zerg. And I guess today is actually a really special day, not just because, you know, casting a WhiteRa game, that's really important, but if you guys are from the States, obviously today is the day you guys cast your vote for either President Obama or potential President Mitt Romney. Or if you don't care, I guess you could vote for the Tea Party. Or if you just don't care at all, you just don't have to vote. Just thought I'd mention that because obviously try to stay up to date with the big news around the world. Speaking of which, I've heard that on the East Coast right now, you guys are just having a terrible time trying to get gas. Maybe that's gotten a little bit better lately, but especially if you guys need like 91 or 93 octane. Oh, you guys are so lucky, by the way, you guys get 93. Out here in California, all we get is 91. But I heard it's pretty hard to get gas out there, so hope you guys are, you know, doing all right. Anyways, getting back into this game here, it is time for WhiteRa and Stan, game 2. And this map, I love this map, Akalon Waste, huge map. Typically see a lot of long-term games here. And let's see if Blizzard implemented some rocks here. Yes, he did. Unbuildable rocks down in the corner of the ramp, but on this map it doesn't matter too much because you have a huge ramp into the natural. And given the size of this ramp, it's pretty weird for Protoss to try to do some kind of a forge wall off. Typically what you see is something like maybe a Nexus first if they want to be really greedy and then start to build their gateways at the front, or they can do the forge wall off, but in order to finish off the wall they do have to build 2 gateways here early on in the game. WhiteRa now just being annoying with that probe and doing a pretty good job blocking that hatchery so far. Oh, comes in the last second and WhiteRa says, all right, enough of that dance, gonna throw a pylon down and I am out of here. Or maybe I'm in here. I'm going to go inside the main base and find out what you're up to. Now, DaLoze is in a situation where, you know, if you get your hatchery blocked, the best option is to usually get the hatchery up at the 3rd, either here, or I prefer it actually out here underneath the natural expansion. But he's actually said he's going to wait for his Zerglings and get the hatchery at the safest spot possible first. So he is going to have a delayed opening here in terms of, you know, as Zerg, you want to get that hatchery up quickly. You want to get a lot of drones and queens out. So far, WhiteRa has done a good job of just harassing the Zerg player and keeping him on the back foot. And he's checking now each of the potential thirds for that next hatchery. Still no signs yet from DaLoze that he wants to go ahead and expand. A second time, that is. WhiteRa back at home, meanwhile, has a Nexus coming. Remember I said before, it's very hard to wall this off. You can't just put a cyber core down. You will need 2 gateways and a core. And he's bringing out a probe right now. He should be a little worried about the fact that DaLoze still hasn't grabbed a 3rd hatchery. Now, we do see as a spectator a 3rd hatchery is coming up, but as far as WhiteRa knows, it could be a huge, you know, run by of Zerglings any second here. So he is running a big risk. And he places the cybernetics core down 1 hex. That is interesting. I'm not too sure why. I think you could place it up here so you can finish it off with the gateway, but he ends up placing it to the right a little bit. And we'll see how he decides to finish off this wall. I think he might just use a Zealot to close off the gap. Back over on the Zerg side of things, it does look like DaLoze has a 3rd hatchery coming. Drones now beginning to Maynard over to the natural. 6 drones on the way. No gas mining anymore from DaLoze, but he did get enough for Zergling speed with an excess of 8. So with Zerg trying to get Zergling speed that early usually means that they want to have good map control against Protoss. But it is a little bit unusual for Zerg to get Zergling speed. Usually, you know, they just skip that altogether. And if they do get Zergling speed, it's usually a sign of them feeling like, you know, there might be a 2-base all-in coming. Nevertheless, that speed is going to be quite helpful once it kicks in dealing with these 2 Zealots, which are now checking for a hatchery. WhiteRa still doesn't know how many hatcheries are on the field, and now he's going to see, oh, you have Zergling speed. Now, like I said before, as an observer, we realize that there is a hatchery up here, but WhiteRa doesn't know about that. So for all he knows right now, it could be some kind of a Zergling, Baneling, you know, or Speedling, Roach all in. So he has to be careful now, especially considering he's gone for Stargate. So there is a moment here where, as a Protoss, you have to feel very concerned about what the Zerg is doing. And he will be able to push out this Overlord here. He should be making a sentry right now, but it looks like he's making another Stalker. He is walled off with a probe holding the gap, which isn't the most... You know, it's not the best unit for holding off a gap against a flood of units, but nevertheless, it doesn't look like DaLoze is going to go with that option. Another Overlord coming into the main base is going to be sniped out by these two Stalkers, but the Overlords have not seen the Stargate yet. Now, as a Zerg player, if DaLoze had sent a couple of Zerglings up this ramp, he would have realized that, hey, there's no sentries here, and he might have even seen the Oracles up overhead. So I think DaLoze, if he's lost a lot of Overlords already trying to scout, but all he has to do really is send a Zergling up the ramp, and he would know exactly what WhiteRa is up to. And that is another Oracle build from the crafty Protoss Ukrainian player. No signs of aggression yet from DaLoze, making a macro hatchery, adding on an infestation pit. Now, is this infestation pit for swarm hosts? Or is it going to be for infestors? Oracle's now making their way across the map that was scouted out by the Zerglings, so now the Zerg knows what is going on. He immediately throws down a Spore Crawler as one coming inside the natural expansion. 4 Oracles now is the total count, with more than enough energy to take out a hatchery. Another Spore Crawler coming up from DaLoze. He's got to be careful here. Oh, we have a Vort of, what is this field even called? Time Warp Field. So those Queens are going to have a very hard time walking, not to mention they're off creep. So it takes a while. Now this Oracle is out of energy, so it cannot attack this hatchery, gaining a little bit of energy right there. But the Oracle's pulling away as they're about to die, and that hatchery is now bleeding out of every corner, every orifice. It is almost down, 433 HP. And WhiteRa now just going to wait and charge up enough energy to finish that hatchery off, but you'll note that now DaLoze has repositioned the Spore Crawler to the bottom, to the right side, and he's left his Queens to the bottom, so maximum protection now from the southeast. Of course, WhiteRa can just fly around the back and take out that hatchery if he wants to. The Zerg player now adding on another hatchery fourth on the way, has Hive coming as well. Looks like he wants to go with Broodlord Infestor here, no swarm hosts. Back at home, what is WhiteRa up to? Got another Stargate coming, is that what I see? Yeah, somewhere inside the base here, Fleet Beacon and another Stargate, so he's really trying to make the Sky Protoss build work. And there's no reason why it shouldn't. He actually played a really good game last game. We'll see if he can do it here against DaLoze. If he can take out this hatchery, he's going to fly in. Now, he might lose one Oracle, but he finishes off the Spore Crawler, uses the Time Warp Field, and that Queen is going to have a hard time getting out of there. But if he can take out this hatchery, it's all worth it, and it looks like he won't be able to because of Transfuse. No, he goes in for a second pass, and that hatchery has gone down. Meanwhile, Zerglings trying to break down the rocks here. They have 1-1 upgrades, and of course WhiteRa doesn't have much of a ground army here, so this is dangerous. These Oracles could use a Time Warp Field to help out. And WhiteRa just going to send a couple of Stalkers there. He still has the rocks, that natural protection provided on this map, although it is somewhat weak right now. Just gonna chill behind those rocks and wait. More Corruptors now flying out across the map. Very interesting innovations here in Heart of the Swarm. With the pro players now trying out the newest updates, we can see that Corruptors, even more important than ever before due to Oracle usage from a Protoss player. And it's very rare that you would ever see Protoss, Zerg make Corruptors against Protoss unless they were going Colossus, obviously. And that was the only real reason to get Corruptors and then eventually morph them into Broodlords. But now you're actually forced to get them against a mid-tier unit available from the Protoss Stargate. And it looks like he's going to go for an Extractor Snipe there, and very successfully does so. Corruptors are not going to be able to take out that Oracle. They just don't have the movement speed necessary to do that. DaLoze going for another hatchery here, and he is making Ultralisk this time around. I gotta say, I'm not sure about the Ultralisk, because you already know that WhiteRa has gotten Stargate units, and obviously Ultras cannot hit air, but if his strategy here is to take out the buildings of the Protoss player first, then Ultra Crackling is very, very good against Sky Protoss, because WhiteRa's composition here is not ready to deal with a lot of Zerg units like this. You know, all these units running underneath can take out a lot of critical tech structures, and that might be DaLoze's strategy here. In a straight-up battle, he would probably lose, but in a base race situation, I think he's got a good opportunity here. Take control of this game. WhiteRa now still making... now he's adding on Void Rays, which is a much better unit against the Ultralisk. And then we have a huge drop coming in here from DaLoze. Going around the back, is sending in a lot of Zerglings and Ultras. In just 1 second here while I check for the crack upgrade, which is complete. Ultras do not have Burrow Charge, but they don't need it to wreak havoc inside the Protoss base. In the next few minutes here, we are going to see absolute carnage, ladies and gentlemen. WhiteRa has no idea that this drop is coming in. That is so many Overlords. One more Ultra to round out the pack. He's like, wait for me, guys. Rah. And he gets inside, so that Overlord is full brim capacity right now. This is such a mega drop. Huge gamble here from DaLoze. WhiteRa warping in a couple photon cannons. I think he has a feeling something is about to happen, but it's too late. The Overlords have come underneath the Nexus, and they're going in for the main. DaLoze is going to do so much damage right now, and WhiteRa still doesn't know. Now he finally realizes there is an impending drop, sending in his Protoss air, but he sees the Ultras and Cracklings coming in. What is his best option here? Will WhiteRa be able to take out these forces before they do critical damage to his structures? A couple of Ultras dropping in over at the Nexus over here. We can see tons of gateways taking the brunt of the Crackling attack. And now it looks like a Nexus will go down. WhiteRa will not be able to save it. He's lost a few gateways inside the main base as well. And this is such a good attack by DaLoze, who is taking out all of the critical infrastructure that Protoss needs in order to stay in a game against Zerg when they have so many hatcheries and larvae ready to reproduce units at their whim. Oh, that Nexus just staying alive at the last second. I don't even know how, with all those Cracklings running amok. And DaLoze gotta be pretty happy about that attack. Of course, he lost a lot of Ultras and Zerglings, and he didn't necessarily kill off any Protoss units, because he really couldn't, given that most of WhiteRa's forces were in the sky. But he did a lot of damage to WhiteRa. And now if he sits back on the damage he's done and tries to capitalize through macro, I think he's going to be sitting very nicely. He also, you know, got a full bead's eye view on what WhiteRa's composition was, so now you'd expect him to make a lot of Corruptors. A couple of Broodlords coming in here. Still got a Changeling. Is that a Changeling? No, that is a normal Zealot. Okay. So still got a Nexus back here at 99 HP, very close to dying. WhiteRa struggling to get this new Nexus back up at the third. He does have 3 Nexi total, so he's still by all means in this game. He did take a lot of damage, but he is still looking very strong. And like I said before, he's got his whole Protoss army alive. It's a scary, scary ball of air units, and a lot of times that comes down to the Vortex. If you get a good Vortex against Zerg here, you know, the sky's the limit. You don't necessarily need Archons to make a lot of damage happen against the units stuck inside that black hole. Now we do have, looks like Crackling Paratrooper drop going in. Oh, Time Warp Field's coming down. Those Infestors have nowhere to run. Stuck in the crevice. And then the last Infestor's like, rah, fungal. The only thing he could do is last breathing, dying breath, and ouch, says DaLoze, who knows he just took some critical damage there, and WhiteRa taking baby steps here. DaLoze now coming in with the Crackling drop, so he's got 2 Overlords here. These 8 These 16 Zerglings can do so much damage, but WhiteRa's prepared. And it looks like one Overlord full is gonna die. The other Overlord full will be able to unload a couple of Zerglings inside the natural, but not necessarily gonna do much damage there. This game is starting to get pretty epic. 21 minutes in, I'm unsure who's got the lead right now, but WhiteRa's going to lose the mothership, and he gets the Vortex off before it goes down, though. Now, what is his best strategy? He knows there's a lot of Corruptors there. I don't think sticking around is a good idea. WhiteRa could lose everything here. There are like 25 Corruptors in there. Oh my goodness, he's gonna stick around and fight. Does he have enough to deal with this many Corruptors? A lot of corruption coming out as well. All the carriers, all the capital airships have been contaminated by green goo. But it looks like WhiteRa is going to prevail, but meanwhile a drop inside the main base. And that Nexus is down. Checking the upgrades right now. 1-3 for the Protoss. Shields and air. And I'm trying to take a look at the Corruptors, at the air units for the Zerg player. He's only got 1-1, so that might have contributed to the fact that that WhiteRa was able to win that fight. Not to mention he did spread out all of his units around that vortex to get the best concave possible. Some subterranean Zerglings here waiting to pop out and finish off these Stargates. Always annoying when a Zerg does that against Protoss, and WhiteRa now trying to get a new mothership on the field. Those Zerglings now going to take out that Stargate. Carrier trying to come out, was not able to. And those Zerglings just being so annoying. WhiteRa will need to bring an observer over there. He's got a robotics on the field. Trying to get another Nexus is WhiteRa, but this is just a footstep away from the Zerg hatchery. And DaLoze now knows that there's a Nexus coming up there. I don't think he should stay and fight, though. That's a lot of Protoss firepower. And we saw what happened last time to these Corruptors, which really are lacking upgrades against the 1-3 carriers. And those Corruptors are all going down. Now the Infestors are coming in as well. But the Zerglings on the right-hand side were able to kill off that Nexus. And I don't think WhiteRa got the cancel on that. And DaLoze takes control over a pivotal point in this matchup. This was absolutely critical. WhiteRa needing to get another base because he's really only mining out of 2. And now, will he be able to regain control? It looks like he does. WhiteRa takes it. But in the back of the base, he's got Cracklings taking out his 47 pros have gone down this game. And not a hint of a drone so far. And the Zerglings just continuing to hold position against the probes, have so far killed off a total of 49. Pretty devastating numbers thus far. Another drop coming in. It's not 8 Zerglings. It is an Ultralisk. Against Zealots, though, I don't know if an Ultra can actually win. Well, we'll find out. Pretty sure 3 Zealots can beat an Ultralisk, but this Ultra is 5-3, so this is the best of the breed, man. And I think he is going to be able to beat these 3 Zealots, so there it is. But DaLoze says, not worth it. Oh, but there's a Tempest here. So now the Ultra's like, let me out! Let me out! Oh. So that Overlord is down. And now a couple of Cracklings trying to make their way inside, but WhiteRa's got plenty of air reinforcements to deal with that situation. And this game, now 26 minutes in, both players still holding their ground. I'd say WhiteRa has been taking the brunt of the beating so far, but he has been holding steadfast. He hasn't lost anything critical yet, despite all these drops. I mean, I guess 49 probes does add up quite a bit, but, you know, he's still on 1, 2, about 3 mining bases now because he just got this new base up. Looking at DaLoze here, he's got all the neutral expansions, and that could be a huge turning factor in this game. When the map starts to run dry, the neutral 12 and 6 o'clock are very, very important to players who wish to continue fighting this war on this map. And so if DaLoze can mine out this expansion and mine out this expansion, he's going to be looking pretty good in this game. He doesn't necessarily have the biggest bank, though. That award belongs to WhiteRa at 3,500 minerals banked. Now adding in a couple of High Templar as well. Could look to make those into Archons. so he can do the toilet bowl maneuver. Upgrades coming up across the field here for the Zerg player, especially 3-3-3. And so now his Corruptors are going to be able to stand toe-to-toe with the Protoss carrier fleet. That's why WhiteRa supplemented his air with a couple of Templars too, I believe, because with Storm, that doesn't necessarily matter against how much armor you have. Storm does a pretty constant amount of damage. Now these Zealots are going to come in here, and I think WhiteRa has got to see those Overlords coming, so he knows there's another drop inbound. Will he position his air forces in the right place? He's actually moving in the opposite direction here, and I think what he might be saying is, alright, you can take out my main base, I'll take out this base up here, but is that the best decision? WhiteRa having to deal with a couple of infested Terrans first, and here comes the drop. You know, WhiteRa might not have noticed these Overlords earlier on. And now these Cracklings are going to do a lot of damage. WhiteRa needs to warp in as many Zealots as possible, trying to corner in the Zerglings against the Fleet Beacon. And meanwhile, trying to make that attack that I was referring to before, but there is a huge squad of Corruptors. This is insane! And those Corruptors have no choice but to back away. Too many Tempests and Templar waiting. Meanwhile, back at home, a couple of Interceptors flying out here. It looks like the Cracklings will do some damage, but WhiteRa could more than handle this. He's going to lose his Stargates if he's not careful. He's not paying attention, though. Focused on killing off his hatchery. DaLoze can afford to lose his hatchery. And he can just back away. He doesn't need to fight here, but he might go in. The storm comes down. Brutal storm. They call that Hurricane Sandy. And DaLoze is out of there, man. He just took serious damage, and that hatchery has gone down. So WhiteRa able to finally deal a punishing blow to the Zerg player. And back at home, he really only lost power to his gateways, and he lost his Stargate, so he can rebuild those. More storms coming out here. Epic battle. WhiteRa could use a vortex if he doesn't want to lose this mothership. She's dangerously in the front, and WhiteRa ends up vortexing his own carriers. Whoa, WhiteRa. Misfire right there. And now those carriers that are caught inside, unfortunately, will most likely go down here unless WhiteRa can save them. Oh my god, this could be a huge blow to WhiteRa, who gets bungled as well. And he's going to lose 3 or 4 carriers for absolutely no reason at all. Back at home, a couple of drops trying to come in, but they were deflected. You know what? WhiteRa might have lost a couple of carriers there, but he did take control over this spot, and he has claimed a potential neutral expansion for himself. And DaLoze knows that that is unacceptable right now. He cannot let WhiteRa get another base. That's when things start to get hairy as a Zerg player. 3 more Stargates coming up from the Red Protoss as well, who realizes that he actually lost all of his Stargate production back at home. Look at this Corruptor army, though. 3-3 is the number on those Corruptors. And if it weren't for the Mothership and the Templars underneath, those Corruptors would probably make mincemeat of the carriers and the Tempests. But WhiteRa's no fool. You know, he's added in the units that he needs to combat such a deadly air army. And look at this, man. It looks like DaLoze is plotting a route over to the north, looking to maybe take out some outlying air units. He's actually going to throw up some photon cannons here. Excuse me, WhiteRa trying to throw up a pylon and photon cannon, but that is going to be shut down. And meanwhile, whoa, subterfuge attack from DaLoze, bringing in a couple of infested Terrans. The infestors are like, rah, let us out so we can kill. So they are going to be able to take out a pylon or 2. Meanwhile, big storms coming down here, huge storms. The Corruptor is barfing over the Templar. Like that is even necessary. They're so weak already anyways. And this is such an epic game. 33 minutes in. I still don't know who's going to win this game. Both armies are pretty much at max. It looks like DaLoze is desperately trying to regain control over the 12 o'clock here. He's got a good concave. He's going in with everything. But WhiteRa's got so many Tempests firing at maximum range. And another rando vortex from WhiteRa. And I'm not too sure why he keeps doing that. I think what it is WhiteRa tells the mothership to vortex here where the battle was originally occurring, and then he focuses on his actual army, and he forgets when, you know, DaLoze pulls away. So that might be what's happening here. Back at home, the Infested Terrans doing a little bit of damage. Nothing critical though. WhiteRa very intently focused on claiming this Nexus, and he has stolen the base from DaLoze. He's stolen it from the Zerg player. And DaLoze has backed off a little bit here. Might be trying to go in one more time. Gets a good fungal off, but does he have enough Corruptors to take out this air army? Storms coming down! And DaLoze has to pull away. Cannot deal the brunt, cannot bear the brunt of that storm with his Corruptors. And his minerals now starting to run a little bit dry, because you'll note that WhiteRa is utilizing units that don't really cost money. He's, well, interceptors do cost money to rebuild, but he's utilizing units that can keep their distance, like the Tempest, like the like the Carrier, and they can do a lot of damage. And every time I feel like DaLoze goes in, he loses more than he gains. And to add insult to injury, WhiteRa is claiming the 12 o'clock base. These Infested Terrans are still going at it. Hey man, 3-3 Infested Terrans are pretty powerful, so something we got to keep in mind. Another attack coming in from WhiteRa, who's moved his whole army down to the south, storming the Infested Terrans. That mothership getting a little bit ahead of herself. She could go down to a vicious snipe here. WhiteRa drops the Vortex though, and really doesn't catch much of the Corruptors. He is, I don't know if you want to put your whole army inside there. And thinks better of it and pulls away at the last second, so he doesn't, you know, if you put your whole army in there, it's just asking for a fungal, chain fungal. And what is going on here? DaLoze has now sent in a queen. There's an observer there though, so I don't know if DaLoze just being really creative here, trying to figure out a way to, I don't know, spread his influence into the Protoss base, try to convert WhiteRa. Oh, what was that? Huge structure going down. I believe that was the mothership. Now WhiteRa doesn't have the ability to cloak anymore, but he's still got Archons and Templar. Epic is the one word I would use to describe this. And maybe agony. WhiteRa using his Tempest, just firing those long-range Hadouken balls into the Zerg army, and the storms coming down again and again. DaLoze is out of there. He just doesn't have an answer against these Tempests. What he's trying to do is utilizing backdoor drops, guerrilla warfare, with his cracklings instead of fighting that army head on, and that is actually not a bad idea at all, because the Protoss air army is comparatively immobile compared to the Zerg drops. And we will see if he will be able to continuously do this. He has halted mining at the minerals here at that expansion. You'll also note that DaLoze has built up his money. He's at 4.5k right now. Both players very similar. Oh, with those Corruptors once again just taking a brutal beating. Protoss abuse right there, and it looks like DaLoze gonna drop once again with more Zerglings. And WhiteRa can't really storm there, because then he'll storm his own probes. He's gonna just let it happen. Of course, he's got a lot of probes, so it doesn't really matter that he loses a couple right now. Might even be in his favor to let some of his probes die. He will kill off this hatchery. And is it just me, or does it seem like WhiteRa is starting to take a very strong position of control in this game? He's continuously, he's fought his way back from hell to take out this hatchery and claim it as his own, and then he's moved down here and fought a struggling, agonizing battle to take out this hatchery as well, all the while dealing with backdoor drops, infestors, queens, creep tumors, burrowed Infested Terrans, whatever you will, you know, cracklings everywhere. And he's just fought himself back and back again, and I think he has taken back control of this game. One important thing to note here is the Zerg is out of gas. He doesn't have any mineable gas locations. He needs to reclaim this area, which has two Vespene geysers full of Vespene, actually, 1,000 and 1,400. If he hopes to stay in this game, because to fight Protoss air, you must have gas. Now gonna go down here to the bottom and taking out those Zealots. But what about the big Protoss army from WhiteRa moving around to the north? Another potential drop here from DaLoze. I think DaLoze, if he doesn't have the gas to fight the Protoss army, the only other option I see for him to win this game, or at least make it as close as possible, is constant dropping of cracklings. Cracklings only cost money, overlords only cost money, and that's exactly what he's doing. 3-3 cracklings coming in from all sorts of directions. WhiteRa bringing his Protoss air fleet to combat that. That's a lot of cracklings inside the main base. Now, if he can kill off the Stargates, which, mind you, are spread out. There's only one Stargate here. You know, if he can kill off all the Stargates, that does hamper WhiteRa. He can't actually make anything despite his larger bank. He can't make any Protoss air units without the Stargates. And it looks like these cracklings sniping out key infrastructure here. And whoa, DaLoze says, if I don't have enough gas to make anti-air units, I'll just make a lot of queens. Very innovative here. That's actually not a bad idea at all. And don't forget, he's got infested Terrans. This game is still here. It's still very close. Hold on. Look back to the screen, ladies and gentlemen, because I think DaLoze might still have a very good shot of winning this game with the mass queens he's brought in. He can't afford to lose them here against the photon cannons, but then what else does he have to bust through the cannon grid? He's run out of infested Terrans, probably due to the storm. He's trying to brute force his way up this location, but there's so many photon cannons here, and cannons do get the 3 shield upgrades, which helps quite a bit. All those Archons are here, and now Queens versus Archons is not a pretty sight. DaLoze running out of anti-air options, and the Tempest fleet is called in. I don't think DaLoze can stay in it, ladies and gentlemen. I think WhiteRa is going to get the second game here. And WhiteRa, so many Tempests. GG, well played, calls the Bluezerg player. And a 44-minute unbelievable matchup right there. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, check me out. I'm at Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at HDStarcraft. DaLoze, big props for holding in for an epic game against WhiteRa, and of course, big props to my main man, WhiteRa, always. Hope you guys enjoyed. And this is, of course, HD StarCraft. I'm signing out to the next cast, and take it easy.